This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com. Welcome to your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 6/19/20. It's quadruple witching hour on Wall Street, if Wall Street even exists anymore. And this is show number 59. Wall Street isn't really a physical location anymore. It's not really a place where the trading happens, where the markets are made, right? Everybody, your desktop is Wall Street, right?
Yeah, pretty much it's gone electronic now. There still exists a Wall Street, and there is a New York Stock Exchange there, and there are still a few people in the building. But the reality of it, it's more of a symbolic presence than anything else. The business has really gone electronic. Everybody can work from any desktop now, so you could do this anywhere in the world, and that's one of the good parts about the business.
Yeah. So it's really, like you said, a symbol. It's a stage set. Wall Street really is a stage set. It, the guys running around screaming and, throwing slips of paper at each other, that just really doesn't exist anymore. I think they use mobile devices when they're on the floor now.
They do. And, the open outcry system, is going by the wayside. And again, it really, really went by the wayside when people were stuck indoors during the COVID lockup. So, that really transformed everything and made this business now completely electronic, if you ask me.
So is there any advantage to like having a seat on the exchange? What does it give you?
I don't know what it gives you any longer, but I'm sure it has to have some advantage because people still pay a lot of money for it, and they're not going to pay something for nothing. So they have to have some type of an advantage there. Maybe they get a little quicker order flow or something along those lines. I would have to think there has to be some advantage. I'm just not sure what it is any longer.
Yeah. So think of Wall Street as a desktop computer, or even, really, I guess traders don't really use mobile devices. Maybe they use large tablets, but pretty much trading takes place on a desktop, right?
Yeah, it does. Some people can trade off of a laptop or so. But I run about 8 screens, and I'm going through so many different markets each and every day. But you really need a nice desktop. To do it with good, with good clarity.
Yeah, and hey, that's interesting. And look, so we're looking at the market now. We're anticipating Powell speaking shortly. What effect is that, if any, is that going to have?
Well, he's the Fed chairman, the Federal Reserve chairman, so he, basically is in charge of what happens with the United States interest rate and monetary policy. So his words do carry a lot of weight. And right now, basically they are flooding the system with liquidity. I don't think he wants this market to overheat, so I would have to think he'll probably make a statement to try to keep the market somewhat contained, just like he did last time the Fed had their FOMC meeting, which is the Federal Open Market Committee. So basically in that statement, he basically said the Fed is going to stay at zero for longer, but look at things. And, he'll kind of say the same stuff. And we'll see what if he does say anything here to move markets. But I think a lot of people are waiting his statement at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so right now, we'll see if he moves markets. But as we speak, the markets are starting to sell off. So all in all, we'll see what the Fed chairman has to say. I think that's where we stand right now. Overall, we got still a very, very strong market. There's options X. And I think, markets may need to do some more backing and filling.
Yeah. Yeah, so right now the market's up a little bit, and I guess everybody's waiting with bated breath on what Powell's going to say. But what can he really say here, Nick? We see the state of things. The market's up 142 points, big deal. What really can Jerome Powell do to save the markets and save the economy?
Well, as we're speaking, the market's actually rolled over a bit. So I don't know if he could say very much, but he does move markets. So his statements do move markets, and we'll just have to wait and see. The reality of it is they're printing a heck of a lot of money, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. So, yeah, there may be a setback with COVID-19 cases or something along those lines, but the reality of it is he's printing a heck of a lot of money, and that money's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, we know where it's going to go, too. It generally doesn't go to the individual, right? It goes to the Wall Street banks, it goes to the major banks, right? I mean, that's where it goes.
That's where it goes, and that's where it'll continue to go. So, I mean, if you just look at what's been happening, markets have had a great run. Now we're at a stall-out point. We need to do some backing and filling in the major indexes. Some stocks still look cheap. Others look like they're very expensive, and tech is leading the way. But when you look at a market that has had a big move like it has, we probably have to do some more backing and filling and do some consolidating.
Yeah, so backing and filling. And it's interesting looking at gold. It's up nearly $20 the ounce. Silver has pulled back a little bit. It's up about 25 cents an ounce. What does that mean for us?
Well, gold has been, continuing in that sideways trend, even though it's up nicely today. It's really putting in the mother of all bullish patterns. And that just tells you gold wants to go higher eventually. So Same for silver. I think silver's had a great run. It's digesting the recent gains, and they both look like, they're eventually going to break out to the upside.
So you think, so they're both going to break out to the upside, and where's resistance? Once they break through 1800, there's kind of the next resistance points like around 1950 where gold stalled out last time and silver stalled out at, I guess silver's got a ways to go, but gold's stalled out right under 2000.
Yeah, so you're looking at that 2011 top, which occurred in September, and I think that's ultimately where it's going to go to. And once it breaks through there, there's no saying how high it can go after that.
Yeah, so the 2011 tops, those are it could take them a while to break through there, though, right?
Oh, yeah, certainly, and it could take a while to get there, too. But, I mean, if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at, the pattern is suggesting that's where it's going.
Yeah, and it certainly wouldn't be a surprise based on a purely fundamental level. This could be the time, Nick, where fundamentals and technicals kind of merge.
It could be, and that usually will happen at some point. Right now, it hasn't happened because gold is really stalled out, even though it's having a good day today. But eventually, you're going to see that pattern that is being made really foretell a much bigger move in the precious metal complex.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because I know you don't watch the fundamentals, but this is a case where, the fundamental case has been made for the past 10 years, but the technical case since 11 was just not there. Finally, maybe the fundamentalists are the stopped clock, and they keep on saying the same thing until eventually they're right.
That's a good point. But for me, it's always a trade, and it's always about the charts. But there is a fundamental case, and we can't really dispute it at this stage of the game.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yep. And so other sectors in the market, what are we looking at? We're still following the same sectors, the travel, the home builders. How have the home builders been lately?
Yeah, the home builders are starting to back off a little bit, but they've been very strong. So that's a group I would keep on my radar. I missed that move. I did not catch it. But they'll definitely come back in and on pattern, a lot of things will be setting up for another buying opportunity. But right now, we're a little bit high on the charts, so you got to really be selective up here at these levels.
Yeah, and you said from the beginning, when you called the market bottom, you said, I don't foresee the market to any of the indices, really making new highs. I mean, obviously the Nasdaq did. Nasdaq never got hit as hard, but probably the idea of the markets going into record territory like they did, the past couple of years isn't going to happen in 2020.
I mean, I don't see it. There's certainly a possibility, but I really think that we'll get closer to a double top from February. But at this point in time, I don't have us penciled in to break through there.
Yeah, no records getting set this year, other than the Nasdaq, which somebody told me, I don't remember if it was you or not, that it's kind of a paradigm shift where the Nasdaq is taking over for the Dow. The Dow is kind of the old stodgy industrial companies, and now the Nasdaq is dominated by the Fangs.
Yeah, well, you do have, basically the Fang stocks, and you could throw Microsoft in there as well. All of those stocks now are very, very strong, and they really carry the bulk of the weight. Just think about it. You have Amazon, you have Apple, and you have Microsoft are all trillion-dollar market cap companies.
Right. Yeah, which is pretty amazing. Used to be, if you had $1 billion market cap, it was a big deal, and only the largest industrial companies, the Exxons, the General Motors, the Fords, only they had the multi-billion-dollar market caps. And now we're in the trillion-dollar land. Who knows? Maybe Tesla will become a trillion-dollar company someday soon.
Tell you what, at this stage of the game, I wouldn't rule anything out.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because the new economy, whatever that might be, and the technological economy, the tech sector, is being ruled by the Nasdaq. I wonder if at some point the Dow will take those companies on. They don't really want to be part of the Dow, it seems.
No, they don't. And the Dow has a certain criteria as well. So, but honestly, you're looking at the Nasdaq really held together by a small group of companies. The leadership is thin there. So that stuff can change rather quickly sometimes. Yeah.
So a small group of companies, really, it's the tail wagging the dog, or maybe they are the dog and all the other companies are the tail. When we start again next week, what should we be looking for now that the quadruple witching hour is over?
Well, once quad witch is over, now we start going back to pattern. This is a neutral week. I never like this trading week because it's just so much game playing that takes place. So we'll look at and see what kind of patterns shape out. But, I'm going to continue to focus on good charts. And, all the stocks that we've been in and all the stocks that I continue to own still have good charts. And that's what I want to own.
Mm-hmm. And so we just focus on those patterns and we pick accordingly. And I guess we'll kind of leave it at that because I'm sure when we talk on Monday, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. Powell will have spoken. The markets will have closed. Quadruple witching hour will be over, and then we'll have more. So in the meantime, go over to inthemoneystocks.com. Check out Nick's trading record, all the valuable information that's out there. Don't forget the Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, and at Kerry Lutz. And send us your questions. As you know, we answer any that you send us. The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. That's kl@kerrylutz.com. And Nick will pick up on Monday.
Sounds good, Kerry. Have a great weekend.
You too there. This concludes another episode of Daily Market Wisdom with Master Trader Nick Santiago. For more information, go to inthemoneystocks.com and see Nick's full trading record, or check out the Twitter feeds at ITMS and at Nick Santiago 01.